Heliothermic honeys and bifurcation boys. Sharpen up your hatching carbuncle. Set your basking lights to maximum. And did you know that I can actually unhinge my lower jaw completely? It's an amazing trick for cocktail parties.
By Ekans and Arbok, it's time to talk Tull to me. Pokemon. They're Pokemon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Ekans is snake spelled backwards.
Yes, I remember.
And Arbok, yeah. I didn't know that until Maria pointed that out when we were groundlings.
So funny.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick Masnill.
Together we are Feckless Momes.
And this, my definitely not snakes, is Talk Tull to me.
A kindergarten field trip to the reptile house of prog rock, in which Neonate Nick and Ophiophage Omen will do our best to show you that each and every reticulated track that rattle-shaking rock band Jethro Tull have ever put on display behind glass is a beautiful creature deserving of our respect and admiration, even if some of them give us the herpetological heebie-jeebies. For real though, don't provoke anything in the Stormwatch display. They are hungry and they will eat you if you give them half the chance.
Yeah. Constrictors, not venomous.
No, exactly, yeah. We will deal dutifully with Doane Perry's difficult drumming diascasis, congratulate Andrew Giddings on his green mamba gravidity, and we will admire Martin Barr's morphing mandibles. And if we can get a long enough snake hook and really get our hands down into the flute hole, we may be able to finally glimpse that rarest viper of all, the serpentine Scotsman, the squamatic saxophonist, the man with a sidewinder in his sporran, the cobra of the Claghorn, the thigmotherm for whom we yearn. Ian, I'm tired of these flutes on this stage. Anderson. That was a slog. Thank you.
Did you say Ophiophage?
An opio.
Is that egg eater?
No, it's snake eater.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ovophage would be
an ovophage.
Egg eater, I guess, yeah.
Which is, I'm an ovophage in the morning.
I hear that about you.
Yeah. But I was going to say I've never eaten a snake, but then I remembered that we actually grilled one and ate it.
Rattlesnake. Yeah.
Yeah.
The rattlesnake trail.
Sting.
Speaking of sting, no, before we dive into anything, I have just the tiniest little anecdote for you.
Oh my gosh, anecdote it.
So last night at 6:07 p.m., I have a screenshot of the text message here. My brother, the one with whom I speak, not the other one.
Yes, that one.
Texted me and said, listening to the first cover band I've ever seen that plays Tull right now. I'm actually enjoying it. No Journey, thank baby Jesus.
Who? Interesting.
And I said, holy shit, Aqualung, Locomotive Breath? And he said, they started with a quick locomotive intro and then into Aqualung.
Huh.
And I said, shocked and impressed, who are they? And he said, they're called the Whiskey River Band.
Huh. Interesting.
Look them up. Don't know if they're on Spotify. Don't know if they're anywhere other than upstate New York, but...
Tull in the wild.
There it is. There it is.
Not playing Rattlesnake Trail.
Probably not. Probably not the deep cuts.
Speaking of deep cuts, Nick, what are we talking about with our cutting tongues this very podcast?
We are on track 4 of Roots to Branches. We are going to talk this free will this evening.
Yes, we will.
This free evening.
This free will.
Yes, we will. This free will. Yes, we will. Campaign slogan. Boom. Running for mayor.
Vote of your quote unquote free will.
Early and often.
Predeterminists choose Omen. That's going to be my campaign.
That's real good.
To appeal to the religious right.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's actually a fair point in relation to this song. So.
Oh, unintentional segue.
Yeah.
Why don't we, I don't know how snakes listen. Why don't we open up our ear holes and listen to This Free Will?
Yeah, they have ear holes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Nick McGill.
Omen, gosh darn Sade.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this Free Will?
I mean, I'm really enjoying the music on this album. I am enjoying it much.
The sound of every track is so brand new feeling.
Yes.
That it's really refreshing being so ingrained in all of that earlier stuff leading up to this point. Even though I've listened to this album a bunch now, every time I listen to it, I still get a new feeling with a specific song. I hear a different instrument. I hear a different sound here.
Yeah.
There's a lot to work with in this album.
Well said. It's got that new album feel on it still after quite a number of decades.
And the smell, too. The new album smell.
What did I say?
You said feel.
I meant smell.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did, but it was a moment of synesthesia for me, I suppose.
When you feel things with your nose, I get it. Your olfactory senses.
Yeah, I felt it with my Okay. Right at the top, the very first sound that we hear, there is a drum riff, and it gives us a really great opportunity to hear some of the settings, some of the recording settings.
Interesting.
Because it's just that really isolated, and you can hear within that the reverb. It's as if they're playing it in a big concert hall or something.
Which Ian said.
That's what he wanted to go for.
Yeah.
So still playing into not just with the composition of the music, but also the mix of it.
The atmosphere, yeah.
Giving us that sense of being there live at a performance. It's so really cool.
Yeah, it's really clever. I don't hate it. I don't dislike this idea of a not live album, you know? It's a dead album.
Inspired by live.
Yeah. It's good though. Yeah, I like it. This song in particular, right off the bat, that little drum fill, that briefest of moments of drum fill, is the simplest part of this song. And then it goes bonkers. There are so many layers. There's so much going on just in that intro of like 30 seconds that it's so difficult to pinpoint everything that's happening.
So here's a question for you because you have the vinyl. When I look at the Wikipodium for this, I see that there is no bassist credited for track 4. We have Dave Pegg on tracks 3 and 5. We have Steve Bailey on tracks 1 and 6. So with track 2, we kind of discussed, okay, maybe it's Ian.
Yeah.
But with this, I definitely hear a very prominent bass.
There absolutely is. It's very chunky.
And I don't know who could be playing it.
The Wikipedia pulled straight out of the vinyl. It looks identical to it.
Yeah, okay, I see that. So no bassist credited.
No credit, but definitely there.
Definitely a bass.
Yeah. Not like a bassotron either. Like that's a big boy bass. It's not complex enough. It's not Dave Peggy playing bass, obviously, that it could have been Ian, honestly. Like the filter and the grunge on it makes it feel more complex than it is, but he's just plugging along.
That's a good point. I guess compositionally it feels very smart. And so I have the impression that it do be a real bassist slapping that thing. Mm-hmm. But maybe it is a different sort of a real bassist. The most real of bassists,
Ian Anderson,
are the ones who don't play the bass at all.
Yeah,
Ian Anderson.
Yeah. I think it also benefits from that aspect of so much going on in this song that it's in good company.
Yes.
Where it's really like that's all it needs, and it feels like it's fulsome because everything else is really hitting everything. It's filling its one specific role in this ecosystem, and we don't need to bring in any other predators to help take out the prey.
The bass is eating it up.
Exactly what it needs to be. It's a fine balance.
Here's a bassist joke for you.
Give it to me.
What do you call a bassist without a girlfriend?
Homeless.
Oh! Have I told that one before?
You sure have.
Dang. Oh! At about 40 seconds in, maybe a little earlier than that, we have the introduction of possibly a synth setting, but it's one of my favorite instruments ever. The oboe.
Peeled from a stretched black snake.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it oboe or is it clarinet? I couldn't figure it out.
If it's one of those two, it's an oboe, but it could also be a Middle Eastern instrument.
Yeah, I was thinking of the snake. Not that I'm giving you any credit for this being a snake song, but it made me think about that, like the snake charmer little fluty clarinet thing.
Uh-huh.
And it certainly adds to that exoticism that Ian wants. Not necessarily wanted per se, but just it certainly permeated the sound of this album.
So there's an instrument called the shawm. The shawm, which comes from the Latin for reed, and it is a double reed wind instrument of Middle Eastern origin, which is the precursor to the oboe.
Oh, cool.
Oboe, of course, uses a double reed, so that makes a lot of sense. And there's also the mizmar.
That's... No, smizmar?
You're thinking smizmar.
Little Futurama.
My smizmar.
The duduk is the Armenian version of the oboe.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Probably it's none of those. Probably it's a synth.
I think it's the synth, yeah.
But it is fun, and it does give us that flavor,
Yeah.
that classic Snake Charmer feeling.
Yeah.
And it has charmed this snake.
Charmed your snake, yeah. Speaking of synth,
Yes.
are those strings synth?
I think that they are.
They sound like synth strings, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of flavor there.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to think back to the last time we heard synth strings, and there must have been some crazy advancements in that time, because it still has that like synth string sound, but they're sweeping and they're all over the place, and it's certainly a lot more complex than I'm accustomed to hearing.
When Andrew Giddings came into the band, he said, has nobody noticed that there's this little update software button flashing on the keyboard? Mind if I just go ahead and press it?
It immediately exploded, and then they bought a new one.
And they bought a new one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but I do think that we're witnessing the progression of the instrument of the synth.
Yeah, I think so. The next step in its evolution.
And probably Andy Giddings is layering for his life.
There's a lot of layer going on. And he's coming in with a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge, too.
Yes.
It's not Ian plunking along on the Mellotron, you know?
But altogether, I mean, this rich instrumentation that we have is giving us a sense of, feels symphonic to me.
Oh, yeah. It feels like when Metallica played live with a symphony.
Yes.
You get all these heavy grungy guitars, you get your standard drum kit, but then you've got the strings in the background. It feels like this too. Absolutely. It feels like they're with a string, even just a quartet.
And I think that that's part of the difference in what we've heard before, is that sometimes the synth, when it was doing strings, was programmed to do like a single string.
Right.
If it was trying to play multiple string sounds at the same time, it sounded really, really digital. Mm-hmm. I think that the advancement is that now you can make it sound like an entire string section without that depreciation of the musical viability.
Yeah, right.
It does it for me, I must say.
Mm-hmm. Does do it for you.
The oboe sound doubles on Ian's voice. It plays in unison with Ian's voice for a lot of the song, which is really interesting.
Slipped up to the hotel door.
Doan Perry is marvelously splashy on the old cymbals while still giving us a real rum-pum-pum of drums. When Chapel Roan asks, why can't any man hit it like rum-pum-pum?
Hit it like rum-pum-pum.
My answer is because Doan Perry has retired.
Because Doan Perry don't play no mo.
At 2 minutes in, we have what I described as a dutiful guitar solo by Martin Barre. It's got some great kind of grumbly sounds to it. But it feels very much like, all right, Martin, are you ready to come up and give your presentation to the rest of the class? Do I have to?
All right, here's my guitar solo.
He kicks a rock on the way up.
Yeah.
He's rolling his eyes.
Shreds it, does an amazing job, gets an A+.
But so bored.
But yeah, the ennui is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It works with the song. Maybe it's intentionally that way. I do love the filter that it has on it, where it has that kind of like sound.
Yeah. That's on there all throughout. His guitar's very stingy, very raw.
It almost brings the guitar into a sound universe that is appropriate with some of these ancient sounding Middle Eastern instruments.
Interesting.
Of course, you can identify it as an electric guitar, but it sounds like
Primitive.
a primitive electric guitar. Yes, a Mesopotamian electric guitar.
Yeah. A protoplasmic guitar.
A hand cranked.
That's just a hurdy-gurdy.
They've got. Did you ever read about like the Mesopotamian, like ancient world electrical batteries?
No.
There were terracotta jugs where there'd be like copper cylinder suspended and then an acidic solution surrounding it, and they've replicated them and shown that they do produce just a little bit of current because it's the interaction of the metal and the acid.
Wow.
Nobody knows what they were using them for.
To charge their iPods, I think.
They were doing it so that if you hook up 100 of these terracotta pots, Martin Barre could play 2 measures.
And make your 100 slaves crank them all at once.
Yeah.
Right before that obligatory guitar solo, we have, it's the second chorus, and we get a little hand drum action there, or maybe little exotic sounding drummy bits from Doan in there.
That's so fun.
It's been a long time coming, babe.
Yeah, he breaks off a little bit, and it's not like hand drum solo or anything, but it starts in the song there, and it's a little prominent right there, and then it kind of gets buried under, it gets swept under the rug when the guitar solo comes and when the singing comes and all that.
It's been a long time coming, babe.
It's really a point in this constellation of sonic references that we have that keep bringing us back to this Eastern world.
Yeah, right.
Coming out of Martin's guitar solo, we have a build-up process to 225. It does that repeating bum, bum, bum. And then that drops us into the next little melodic section.
Bum, 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 break.
Break, yes.
Moment of silence, yeah. That build-up feels very, very live as well.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I've been thinking a lot about the role of tension and release in art. The more I think about it, the more I think that a lot of live performance, a lot of storytelling is about building up a sense of tension and then releasing it.
Yeah.
And that happening over and over and over again, and maybe, overarching cycles and also smaller cycles within, like, you put the hero in an increasingly dangerous, tense, unsalvageable situation, and then miraculously they make their escape. That's the building of tension and then the release. And we love it. We crave it.
Yeah. It's the abstract version of the hero's journey that can be applied to anything.
And Tull are masters at building and releasing that tension in the songs.
Yeah. And knowing when it would be more effective to not.
Releasing the tension before it has a chance to build up.
Releasing, it's just a moment of silence. It's just 5 minutes of silence. Just release the tension.
Release the snakes.
Release
All over the stage.
the kraken. Yeah.
Quick sort of interesting thing in terms of not the time signature exactly, but the use of rhythm within this song. This is, I'm fairly certain, in 4, but Ian, and you can really hear the 4 if you listen to the bass and the drum. One or the other of them is always doing dum, 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 dum. But Ian almost always starts singing on the 2. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Ba, da, da, ba, da, da, da. So he's not starting at the beginning of the measure. He's always starting off a little bit, which I think makes it sound more complex than it is. Like you were saying with the bass.
Yeah, it gives it this weird, for lack of a better term, like lilting quality. Like there's an ebb and flow to his singing that doesn't match with the rest of the ebb and flow of the timing of the instruments. And it really does make it sound more exotic.
Yes.
It does make it feel more like non-stagnant.
Yes, dynamic.
Dynamic, yeah, perfect, yeah.
It's fascinating, and it's such a simple technique, but it is so effective in giving us the feeling you are describing so eloquently.
Yeah.
So eloquently.
Speaking of his singing, his voice in here, high, sounds like he's just pushing it just a teeny bit, like 1 or 2 points. There's just a tiniest bit of stress.
Yeah, and I think that we'll have to determine for ourselves, is that a function of the expression of the song, or did he enjoy one too many small cigars the night before?
I don't know. It seems pretty high from what we're hearing from him as of late. So it's possible. I mean, he could be one of those last instances of songs where it's like, I cannot write these this high anymore.
I need to stop doing this to myself.
Why? I have utter control over this. Why have I done it?
Who keeps letting me do this? Yeah. I love this section at the end where we have this pattern of and 2 and 3, bam bam, da da. It's so fun, and then it gets layered back and forth, so you have multiple overlapping instruments doing that same pattern, but slightly off from each other. It gives it this sense of everything's kind of spiraling out of control into this infinite complication, and then it just fades out.
Yes, right. There's no concrete ending. It is a fade out. So it is, for all intents and purposes, never ending.
Yes, a never-ending spiral.
Yeah.
Un spirale.
Oh. Spirale.
Une spirale.
Tabernacle.
A tabernacle. Where did you learn that?
Shorzy. Do you know? Have I told you about Shorzy yet?
No. Is it French-Canadian?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Hulu. It's about, they call it whale shit hockey. Not a junior league, but a semi-professional hockey league.
Right.
And it's great. It's great. It's the writer and producer who did Letterkenny. This is his spin-off character from Letterkenny over into this. And the writing is beautiful. The character development is amazing. Like, it's one of our favorite shows. It's so good. Very, very recommended.
Tabernacle is the Quebecois all-purpose swear.
Yeah. It's motherfucker, right? Like, essentially?
Yeah. Yes, it's used the way that we would use.
Yeah.
But it literally means tabernacle.
Right. Yeah. So it's
a gentle blasphemy.
Yeah. It's a blasphemous oath. Yeah.
Yes, but it's in combination with everything. It's just really funny.
Yeah. It's very funny. Yeah.
One does wonder how one would end this song if one were playing it live, or if one were listening to it live. One might wonder how it was going to end if one had only heard it from one's cassette.
I think, honestly, the buildup of that da-na, da-da-na, and you get to that point where the body is just like, this will go on forever.
Yes.
You've got lights streaming across, lighting up the smoke, and then on just one of them, it's just done. It's completely unexpected.
Big ending chord.
No. I think it's ba-na, ba-da-na, ba-da-na.
Ooh, I like that one too.
Yeah.
I like that one. The projections artist has done just snakes circling and circling each other.
It's shitty AI snakes like circling one another, and then Andy Giddings' head comes up and starts singing.
You're You're describing a very vivid dream that I had last night. A huge boa constrictor with the head of Andy Giddings.
That's it. He is a lamia. Yeah.
Speaking of snakes.
Let's speak snake. Speak hiss snake to me, Omen said.
The Burmese python is a wonderful beast, but it is a very invasive and difficult to manage species in the Florida Everglades.
That's right.
The Florida Everglades have a wonderful variety of native snake species, but all of those are being pushed to a little bit the edges of their habitat because of the Burmese python, which were released for fun at some point.
Seriously?
Well, they were released by humans. I mean, just kind of like...
Yeah, my thought is like, I have this pet snake and it's too big now, so I have to let it out into the swamp.
I'm pretty sure that was...
Generally how that stuff happens, yeah.
Yeah, similar, if not exactly that.
Yeah. Unless it's sparrows in Central Park, because Shakespeare mentioned sparrows.
Shakespeare don't mention no pythons.
Don't release those in Central Park.
Probably be easier to control in Central Park than they would be in the Everglades.
That's true. Omen, here we are halfway through.
We are halfway through swallowing this episode. Its back legs are still kicking, but we've got our esophagus firmly wrapped around the front half.
Cannot get away at this point.
Nope.
Like the last 3 episodes, we will continue with the process of pulling out our Torah program.
Our Torah.
Our Torah. Everybody open your Torah and pray to Jehovah.
The snake god?
The snake. ISIS?
ISIS?
Well, speaking of Torah and snake gods, this is the very last page of the program. And we have a little plug for Ian Anderson's Divinity's 12 Dances with God. Right there.
Ooh, delightful.
Right there.
I will be ordering my copy through the mail soon.
CD cassette, EMI. And then beneath that, it says Martin Barr on CD. The Meeting, new solo album. It's available end of 1995.
Just missed it.
A trick. Shit, I set a timer and everything. A Trick of Memory available now. And also another bit of artifact ephemera from the German man who once possessed this.
Yes.
Got a little headline here. Das Tempodrom ist verkauft.
What's that mean?
The Tempodrome is sold.
This Tempodrome must be a concert venue.
It was, yeah, it is in Berlin. It's a multi-purpose event venue in Berlin. It opened in 1980 next to the Berlin Wall on the west side of Potsdamer Platz, housed in a large circus tent. Huh. After several changes of location, it's now housed in a permanent building in the Kreuzberg neighborhood.
Oof. Oh my God.
Yeah. So just, that must be where, oh wait, I have the ticket right here. Did he see them at the Tempodrome? I don't know.
Some things are meant to never be known.
It is going to be a mystery for the rest of life. So that is the back page. But next to that, we have the backstage portion. So we've got a picture of Jonathan Noyce sitting on luggage, and the caption says, "New boy looks after luggage while others break their fast." And it's just him sitting all alone on the luggage.
Oh.
And this isn't an interview portion with anybody. It's really just kind of the rest of the crew, which is kind of nice. The crew for that tour, Kenny Wiley, I believe, has James used the name Kenny before? I feel like I might be making that up.
It's entirely possible.
It's possible. Kenny Wiley was production manager, tour coordinator. John Halke was sound engineer. Kevin Shaw was lighting designer. Midge Matheson was stage manager and keyboard and backline technician. Martin Brennan was lighting board operator. Jay Rubin, drum technician. Tom Lynch, merchandiser. Program, the photography is by Martin Goddard. Zarkowski Designs was the program and merchandising design.
I know we've heard some of those names before, and I think we heard some of them in the pub where we...
Yeah.
Like, I think we've actually met some of those
That's
people.
exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
So funny.
But here we go. We have a little write-up for This Free Will from one Ian Anderson. A failed backing track contrived on the final day of Doan's recording stint for the album lay undisturbed for a few weeks during timeout for the short Divinities tour before being revisited at the 11th hour with a different set of previously written lyrics and a completely new melody and arrangement. To save a little time, I popped down the guide electric guitar track together with vocals, flute, and a couple of other lines over the original drum track. Andy came in to add some keyboard and bass lines, and Martin added some great atmospheric parts to counter the flute and my guitar parts, which I left on the finished track, but did not credit on the album's sleeve notes.
Wow!
Doan finally heard the end result, convinced that we must have used another drummer, since he could not recognize the song or remember recording anything like that.
Wow.
This was extremely convenient, since by pretending that it was some session guy, we might get away with not paying him for the track. So be darlings and keep it under your hair weaves for now, and don't tell the big boy.
So silly.
So Ian.
So wait a minute, we've resolved several mysteries here. Andy Giddings played the bass for this.
And keys.
And the keys, yeah.
Look at that. Andy, the polymath.
And some of that guitar was Ian Anderson.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, very complex. And it certainly feels like it's more than 5 people playing on this song. 4 people.
Yeah, oh, yes, it does.
1, 2, 3, 4, yeah.
You know, I often forget that at this level of musicianship, very few people play only one instrument.
Oh, yeah. If you've been in the game this long, you inevitably pick something up.
Just out of boredom, if nothing else. Hello there, Nick.
Oh, hi, Omen.
Hey, mind if I drop in?
You specifically drop in? Are you going to drop something in?
No, I was just going to drop in and say hi.
Oh, yeah, come on in.
Hey, while I'm here, do you want to talk about the lyrics to This Free Will?
Yeah, move that pile of newspapers from 1980.
I know you're saving them for something special.
Just in case. Yeah, I don't want to be without them if I do need them.
No. My God, what are you, crazy?
Right?
This Free Will is the title of this track, and I will fully admit, before we even start talking about one single word of it, that I am deeply befuddled by this song. I am familiar with the concept of free will.
Yeah, okay, good. That's a good place to start.
Okay.
And snakes.
Familiar with snakes.
Yep.
I used to date one.
Yeah. After the 7th word, snakes are not mentioned ever again.
I'm sorry, what about don't snake my faith in this free will?
I think there might be a smudge. Oh. If you take the smudge off, it's actually like, it's an H. It's an H.
Oh, wow. Okay. She peels from a stretch black snake, which slipped up to the hotel door.
She peeled from a stretched black snake, which slipped up to the hotel door.
Okay, I'm already freaking confused. I would understand if it's she peels a stretch black snake. Either she's peeling it of its skin or she's peeling it off of something because they stick to it. But she peels from a stretch black snake means that she separates herself from this snake, which is putting me into the realm of some sort of animagus.
Take off snake and think about stretch black.
Stretch black glove, stretch black dress.
What would she be coming from that is stretch black?
A limousine.
Yes.
She peels from a stretch black snake, which slipped up to the hotel door. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, great. She's getting out of her car, so we have a she. Good.
And she's wealthy enough to be chauffeured in a stretch limo.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Darting looks from piercing eyes, the stir of memory, and then no more.
Darting looks from piercing eyes, the stir of memory, and then no more.
I've recently revised my understanding of this line, and I think that maybe we're not talking about a snake darting looks from its eyes.
Correct. It's the limousine darting looks from its eyes.
Ah, okay, got it. Okay, so we have this, perhaps a glamorous woman,
Yes.
stepping out of a black stretch limo up to the hotel door, the front of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
She's darting looks from her piercing eyes. There's a glimpse of recognition of memory, and then it's gone.
I think the key thing that we're supposed to take from this is she is of high station.
She's a hunting girl, perhaps.
Possibly.
Well, you know how I have to believe she can almost remember my name.
Well, you know how I have to believe she can almost remember my name.
So there's an anticipation, a desire to be remembered from the point of view of the singer.
If she can almost remember my name, there's some history there.
Uh-huh.
But we don't know what yet.
But it continues to develop this unbalanced status relationship.
Yes, it does, yeah.
Okay. This is what we might call the chorus, the refrain.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been a long time coming, babe. Long time loose amongst foreign hills, shaking my snake in this free will.
Do not shake your snake in this free will. You will get charged with many a crime.
Shaking my faith in this free will.
It's been a long time coming, babe. Long time loose amongst foreign hills, shaking my faith in this free will.
I'm getting vibes of perhaps a prodigal son, perhaps a running away from something and then being found out. It's been a long time coming, babe. Gives a sense of inevitability.
Good. Remember, we were talking about predestination earlier.
We sure was.
Preordination.
Long time loose amongst foreign hills makes me think that the singer's referring to himself, that I have been for a long time lost in these foreign hills, unfindable, perhaps intentionally unfindable.
Back then, there was no email. There was no cell phone.
Back in the
Early 90s.
90s? I think they had cell phones.
Yeah. Not terribly prevalent, though.
They were car phones.
Yeah, they were pretty big. And the ones that were cell phones were like a shoebox.
Yes.
So yeah, not prevalent. Ian probably had one as he was an early adopter. Has always been.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I think that's what we're supposed to get from that is he's returning for whatever reason.
Interesting. So either he's returning to a location to be found by her, or she has found him where he is.
Right. Yeah, something has brought them back together. And I think we'll dig into it a little bit more as we go along. And I think that will also explain the shaking my faith in this free will. I think that first recitation of that is like, oh, what could he mean?
It's creating a gap in our curiosities where we are intrigued.
All right, everybody, with your bingo cards, that's 3 in a row that he has mentioned curiosity gap.
Jesus Christ.
I take it you did some research for work, and it's just that little acorn has burned a hole in your pocket.
You know me.
I do.
It's like get out of track of something. I see it everywhere.
If it works, it works. And then it stops working.
And then it stops working. Okay, moving on to the next verse. Years ago in a coastal town. It's probably completely unrelated.
Can't be.
Mosquitoes buzzed in her hair. Could that be the same her as the woman stepping out of the limousine?
She also has hair.
Years ago in a coastal town, mosquitoes buzzed in her hair.
But mosquitoes buzzing in it is not glamorous.
Correct. On a coastal town somewhere, yeah.
School dress torn and bare feet brown. Okay. She was in a low position and young.
Yep.
And then the rains came and she wasn't there.
School dress torn and bare feet brown. And then the rains came and she wasn't there.
By the rains, I assume he means the monsoon season.
Possible, yeah.
You're closing your doors on me when you had almost remembered my name.
You're closing your doors on me when you had almost remembered my name.
I'm getting there was some encounter back when she was young and impoverished, when she was Jenny from the block. And now she is this rich, fabulous, powerful person. But then we have you're closing doors on me when you had almost remembered my name. Is that now in the present tense?
Yep. Yeah. So I think they were kids together growing up.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now she's coming to the hotel where he works as a servant.
Maybe he is also touring with a rock band and he's also in that hotel.
Interesting.
Yep. But you're closing your doors on me when you'd almost remembered my name. There's this moment of her maybe clocking him and thinking like, do I know that guy? No. And then she closes the door.
Well, also if she did recognize him, it may be incompatible with her station to admit such a remembrance.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another reprise. It's been a long time coming, babe. Long time loose amongst foreign hills. Maybe that's her, now that I'm thinking, has been lost amongst foreign hills off at Hollywood.
That's true. Yeah.
Making her fortune. Shaking my faith in this free will. There are plenty of examples of people who are destined to keep meeting. I'm trying to think of one.
Romeo and Juliet. Nick and Omen.
Did you ever see Slumdog Millionaire?
I did not.
It's kind of that. They're separated as kids and he's trying to find her. And
Did you ever see Hancock?
No?
Very good movie.
Okay.
Same thing. The couple is destined to keep encountering one another, even though for both of their sakes and safety, they have to be apart.
It's like the film Serendipity, where she writes her number in a copy of a book that he's reading. And then on the train after the date, he loses the book. It's his jacket stolen from him. And so he spends the next 10 years going to used bookshops and buying copies
Oh, wow.
of the book. Lots of examples.
And he dies from a paper cut.
He dies from book poisoning.
This man's had too many books, dear God.
He's way over the recommended limit. Okay, we move on to the next final verse. Sharp points in an ink-black sky, faint worlds collide, then are lost. I'll follow you beneath this dome, win you back at any cost. I know we were children then. Coming up on that theme that you were talking about. But you can almost remember my name.
Sharp points in an ink-black sky, faint worlds collide, then are lost. I'll follow you beneath this dome, win your back at any cost. I know we were children then, but you can almost remember my name.
Yeah. So sharp points in an ink black sky are stars and planets. Faint worlds collide. Sorry, but those faint worlds colliding are also their worlds colliding.
Yes, or even the world that is created by their knowledge of each other. Like, when two people meet, they kind of create a bubble.
Sure.
Maybe that the bubble of their childhood world is colliding with the bubble of their
Present
current world,
lives. Okay.
of their present
yeah.
lives, and then is popping.
Yeah, that's possible.
It's popsible.
It's popsible. It's a popsicle. I'll follow you beneath this dome. I mean, that could be a physical dome, but also it makes me think of the night sky as well.
Yes, absolutely. You know, also in poetry of the Middle East, there are sometimes references to domes. What am I thinking of? Kubla Khan? He built him there a pleasure dome. It's sort of a constructed place where, like an arch, which was often the center of festivity life or something. Jesus.
Just enough knowledge to be dangerous.
To myself.
Yeah.
So then we go along with the final reprise. It's been a long time coming, babe, long time loose amongst foreign hills. Well, let's be children still. Don't shake my faith in this free will. Don't shake my faith in this free will.
Well, let's be children still. Don't shake my faith in this free will.
Oh, okay. So the whole thing is, their fates are so entwined, it is inevitable that they will meet.
Right.
They have no free will about the fact that they are being brought back together.
Right.
It is not within their control. But he's making the argument of, even though there's been so much time, space, events that have separated us, even though you now have this high position and I am whatever position I'm in, and fate has brought us together, we still have the choice of what to do with that opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's be children, i.e., return to whatever relationship we had before.
Right. Let's go back to that. Yeah.
Wow.
Even though fate had taken us apart for X number of years, we are obviously brought back for a reason.
So let's take advantage of that reason.
Yeah. And maybe because of your newfound station, you can't be with me in this life. So let's go back to that life.
Get rid of all of your wealth.
Yep. Give it away.
Get back in your snake car, and let's drive to the poor side of town and dance on the table.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that was the underlying meaning there.
I want to tell you a story.
Go ahead, please.
It's fate. You've already chosen. You've been predestined to listen to this.
It's my choose your own adventure. I always pick the ending with the story.
Yeah. So I worked for many years as a carpenter in New York. And New York is, as you know, full of
snakes.
Full of snakes. Lousy with snakes. They introduced them to eat the rats. It's full of people on the extremes of every station and status.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
And because it's so thrown together, you can have people of very disparate statuses in the same space. And so the social conventions and rules that are unspoken about how to negotiate that are really fascinating. And as a carpenter, whenever I was out dressed in my work gear, I was always bottom of the bottom of the bottom
Yeah.
station, you know.
Yep.
Especially if you're in Manhattan. You know, you walk out in the street and you're surrounded by bankers who make $250,000 a month.
Yeah.
I was doing a gig for the Metropolitan Museum. We were loading some stuff in for an opera that they were doing, but we were loading it literally through the museum. And I saw this beautiful, beautiful woman in a black turtleneck, just chic, just chicness in her cheekness, giving what looked like a very important tour to some very important looking people. All had lanyards on, you know, they all had the kind of the walk of the, I give a lot of money to this institution walk. And her eyes and mine met for a fraction of a second. And I recognized her as a girl that I'd gone to college with and had a pretty big crush on. We'd sort of had a flirtation for a brief moment. And I saw the flash of I mean, really quite like this song, the flash of recognition, and then the cut away where I can't be seen in this moment to be interacting with the laborers. It'll undermine my position. I mean, that's what I read into it.
I don't think you're far off from it. I think it's more circumstantial. I imagine if she wasn't giving a tour to the stakeholders, you know, she probably would have spoken to you.
Maybe, but I wanted in that moment to be like, this isn't my real, I don't do this all the time. I also have nice clothes.
I'm an actor, I swear.
This is something, I'm doing something fun with my life, I promise. I'm still sexy.
There's this weird impulse to prove yourself with people with whom you grew up.
Yeah.
That's why I don't interact with anybody. That's why I'm not on social media. I avoid all of that.
That's why I never grew up with anyone.
I was raised by wolves in the woods of Weedsport.
Have you seen the IT Crowd?
Have I seen the IT Crowd?
There's a great episode where the Irish guy, he keeps running into an old friend of his, but these ridiculous circumstances keep conspiring to make him look like he's a window washer. And the other guy's like this really successful, like, you know, banker or something. And he keeps being like, I swear I'm not a window washer. I swear. Chasing the guy down. carrying like a bucket and a squeegee, being like, I'm not a window washer.
That's funny. I forgot about that.
So silly.
I'm not a window cleaner!
I guess I just want to ask you, what do you think of this song? Like, where's this coming from? Why do we have this song on this album?
Like, why was this song written in general?
What is its role? Yeah. How should we listen to this song? What is it teaching us?
Well, this isn't really a concept album, so we don't need to worry about it like puzzle piecing in.
True.
If there had to be one, it's a sonic concept, and thus far it fits very well. It fits in with the sounds that we've heard so far.
Story-wise, why a song about this mysterious rendezvous of fate?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like not necessarily a personal thing that happened, but something that Ian, while people watching, didn't necessarily see happening, but like created it in his head. Like, oh, this could have been a thing.
Sure.
This could have happened.
Yeah.
And honestly, the man travels so goddamn much.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has thought of every situation, the change in life and the traveling and the change in station and all that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's all played in his head half dozen times each.
It's interesting, yeah. For me, there's something really interesting about the juxtaposition of fate and free will. That how can you have a working model of the universe that incorporates both fate and free will? Mm-hmm. Are they mutually exclusive? Are they different sides of the same process? Are they coexistent?
Yeah.
Ian strikes me as somebody who is definitely, a free will advocate or a free will believer.
Yeah.
Shakespeare said, "Our fortunes lie not in the stars, but in our hearts." But Shakespeare would have also, been impressed by circumstance and made to wonder if things were divinely ordained.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the question is, do you have free will to act upon things when fate has put a circumstance in front of you?
Right. How much of that is actually free will?
And the answer is snakes.
Don't shake my faith in this free will. Don't shake my faith in this free will. Don't shake my faith in this free will.
Nick, what is it that next week we will slither into?
I am not Slytherin, thank you very much. But we are talking track 5. It is Valley. Valley.
I'm actually really very excited about this track, not just because I love geography and geographical terms, but because of our trip to Scotland and thinking about the context.
This song, I remember way back when we were wee bairns, and I had the audacity to ask Michael Riley what his favorite Jethro Tull song was. He said, Valley.
Really?
I remember that very, very vividly.
He told me it was the Iniquitous Toad song, Down at the End of Your Road.
Oh, really?
Well, maybe he's got more than one favorite. He's a complex man.
He whispers things in your ear at night, just
He'll tell you whatever you want to hear about Jethro Tull.
as long as you take a shot of Romulan ale.
Just so he can slither into your snake hole.
Oh, Jesus God. Until next week. I am the bare brown feet of Nick McGill.
I am stretching my black snake, Omen Thomas Sade.
We are the mosquitoes buzzing in your ear, the feckless momes.
And you almost remembered our name. It's Talk Tull.
That's what it is, yeah.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane!